Hey there, it's Gregson. Welcome back to Shifting Lanes. Today we're talking about the Honda Accord and what you need to know about this car before you buy it, research it, or compare it to others in its class. And even if you're not in the market for one, stick around and watch all the way to the end because there's some really interesting information I found when researching for this video that you may have never known before. And while you're at it, don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you liked this video and give it a thumbs up. In this video, we'll be going over what to look for on the Accord. Things like what's new for 2021 versus the 2020 model year, some common issues, any major service bulletins, any major recalls, and overall reliability ratings. We here at Shifting Lanes have actually owned a Honda Accord before. I personally owned a 2006 Accord Coupe for 7 years. Granted, that was an older version and the newer ones are drastically different. We do have experience owning this car, which comes in handy when you want to talk about issues on past models. Given that and the information I found, I'm confident I can give you an accurate look at the new Accord and old Accords so you're armed with the most information possible. And if you're here for the Accord, we make tons of other different videos here at Shifting Lanes, like new car reviews, other what to know videos, and consumer advice recommendations and news. If you'd like to see any of those, check the description below for playlists of everything we do, or click the card above for a hand-picked video for you. Now, let's get into all the details on the 2021 Honda Accord. First, let's play a little game. The Honda Accord is one of the most common vehicles in the US and in the world. I'd wager a guess that you know 2 or more people that have owned an Accord in their lifetime. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments section. I say this first because the Honda Accord is one of both the best-selling and best overall vehicles of all time. And there's a pretty good chance you know someone who's owned one, or at the very least, has a good story about one. My personal experience with owning a 2006 model was excellent. It was reasonably fun, reliable as anything, fairly cheap to maintain, and decent looking for the time period. And this is the draw for the Accord. A car that can haul 5 adults comfortably, is good in the corners, good on gas mileage, inexpensive to maintain, reliable, and won't fade with age. Honda has done just that with the Accord for the last 30 plus years. Every Accord from the 1990s still looks good and can do everything I just described, with later models just doing the job a bit better than the previous ones. This is the Accord ethos, and it's why the Accord is a top 10 best-selling car in the US every single year. Unfortunately for the Accord, crossovers have eaten into the overall sales of the midsize sedan over the last 10 years. But the Accord, along with the Toyota Camry and Nissan Altima, still sell hundreds of thousands of units every year, so they are very likely to stay for many years to come. If you include hybrid variants, the Accord has 9 different trims to choose from. Non-hybrids start with an LX trim at $24,970 and finish with the Touring trim starting at $36,900. For hybrids, you can get a base model for $26,570 or opt for the top of the line with a hybrid Touring for $36,440. Each trim level comes with varying degrees of amenity upgrades and engine types. For example, the LX trim comes with a 1.5-liter turbocharged engine with 192 horsepower and 192 foot-pounds of torque, and some nice things like smartphone integration, 17-inch wheels, dual zone climate control, and Honda's Eco Assist system. But the Touring trim has a 2-liter turbocharged engine with 252 horsepower and 273 foot-pounds of torque, along with some luxuries like ventilated seats, wireless phone charging, Wi-Fi capability, navigation, and adaptive dampers. So if you are in the market for a new Accord, what's new for 2021 when compared to 2020? The only bad news here is that there is no more manual transmission option for those wishing to row their own. Otherwise, the 2021 model gets an aesthetic refresh inside and out. On the exterior, you can find some styling updates in the form of a new grille, optional LED headlights, some new wheel designs, and a cool color option called Sonic Gray Pearl. Inside, there's a standard 8-inch infotainment screen, which used to only be an option. Also now standard is Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You can get both of these with a wireless connection on the EXL and Touring trim levels. Otherwise, you have to use a cord like the rest of us. Interior ergonomics are also on display with the USB ports, which have been relocated for easier access. There's also a back seat reminder feature that tells the driver to check the back seat if a rear door was opened prior to setting off. Also new is a Sport SE trim, which basically is the same body and style as the Sport trim with the equipment of the now gone EX trim level. Mechanically, Honda has recalibrated throttle response on every new Accord. Overall, these updates and upgrades are a light refresh that will only make the Accord a better offering for the hundreds of thousands of people that will buy one. If you made the decision to purchase an older Accord, the rest of this information should help you make an informed decision about the car itself. This isn't a video on how to negotiate pricing, but after this you should be armed with a bit more knowledge on potential trouble areas, which may help in many different purchase-related scenarios. And if you're shopping for a new one or already own a new one, these issues may not translate to your experience exactly. However, if you're looking to buy used, this information could be extremely helpful. First, let's talk about some common issues. CarComplaints.com has the top 3 trouble areas on the Accord as transmission failure on the 2003 Honda Accord with an average cost to fix of $2,700 at an average mileage of 97,000 miles. Next is transmission failure again on the 2004 Accord with an average cost to fix of $2,900 at an average mileage of 110,000 miles. And finally, uncomfortable seats, which I've literally never seen before on any site for car complaints, on the 2017 Accord at an average cost to fix of a scarcely believable $5,000 at an average mileage of 0 miles because this was a new car issue. So on this one, I had to dive further, and if you click into any of the most common issues, you can see a severity rating on CarComplaints.com along with some information. Apparently, people found this as pretty severe at an 8.7 rating, and that there's basically no solution here as Honda Corporate was dismissive of the complaint. Personally, I've sat in and driven the 2017 Accord and did not find the seats uncomfortable. Of course, these are all issues with older Accords, but sometimes issues do carry over to newer models and generations. Just keep your eye out for these if you own a late model Accord or intend to purchase. Research does show that these issues aren't as prevalent or even happening at all in the later models. It's worth noting that the 2003 and 2008 models seem to have the most issues, and Car Complaints gives them a sticker saying avoid like the plague, so it's best to keep away from those model years. Next, let's talk about the Technical Service Bulletins, or TSBs, for the Accord. If you didn't know, a TSB is a communication from the manufacturer, like Honda, that document recommended procedures for repairing vehicles, and they happen when there are several occurrences of an unanticipated problem. For example, if consumers keep reporting that their doors won't lock because a wire in the door is known to disconnect, and it's happening across many different shops or dealers, the manufacturer will look into it, and if there's a fix, issue a TSB so that if it happens again, the fix is easily understood and rectified. The manufacturer may also find fixes proactively and issue a TSB if the fix does not require a recall. For the Honda Accord, you may be surprised to know that there are hundreds of TSBs listed for many different model years. However, it's important to remember that this isn't necessarily a standard for reliability. Almost all cars have dozens, if not hundreds of TSBs for each year they are produced, so take this into consideration when doing your research. I won't go into all of the TSBs they list, but if you're more DIY inclined, it's worth poking around the TSBs should you find something wrong with your vehicle and want to fix it yourself. You may find a TSB with a fix you need and could save yourself hundreds in repair costs with the right know-how. The majority of TSBs I found were related to transmission, engine, or brake-related issues. On that note, let's talk about any active recalls that the Accord has outstanding. Given that it has over 35 model years under its belt, the Accord has many recalls, and they will all be logged by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, or NHTSA. You can find all of this information on nhtsa.gov or other sites that list this information publicly. I won't go into all of the recalls as they warrant their own video, but here are a few of the major ones to watch out for and the model years they relate to. For the 2013 to 2015 Accords, drive shaft may corrode and fail. A broken drive shaft may cause a sudden loss of drive power. The vehicle could also roll away if the parking brake has not been applied before the vehicle has been exited. Either condition can increase the risk of a crash or injury. Obviously, this is a huge issue because the drive shaft is what's helping to drive your car. This recall was mainly focused in the Rust Belt states in the US, like New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and others. Basically, any state that sees snow and has their roads salted to help with grip. For the 2008 through 2012 Accord, passenger frontal airbag inflator may explode. An inflator explosion may result in sharp metal fragments striking the driver or other occupants, resulting in serious injury or death. This is part of the now infamous Takata airbag recall, where some of these units could fail and cause serious injury and, yes, even death. For this recall, it has to be done before considering buying any of these models. And finally, for the 2005 Accord, fuel pump relay may lose power. If the fuel pump loses power while driving, the engine could stall without warning and a crash could occur. Currently, the 2020 and 2021 model years have 2 and 0 recalls respectively, but we can chalk that up to those years of the Accord being a bit newer than all of the others. More recalls may trickle in over time. I was also legitimately shocked when I found that the 2003 and 2005 Accords had 24 recalls on each of those model years. That is an abnormally high amount for a single model year. In fact, it's the single highest amount of recalls in one model year I've found so far while doing these What to Know videos. So be sure that if you're looking at purchasing either of those years of the Accord, all of the recall work has been done. But in reality, it's our recommendation to avoid all of the model years of 2003, 2005, and 2008 when looking at Accords. This leads me to my final point on the Honda Accord, which is overall reliability. And as you can see by the information I've put forward, and if you do any research online by yourself, it's sort of all over the place, which is a bit surprising for the Accord given its glowing reputation. Overall, the Accord scores high with newer models, given that it's a newer platform and there aren't many issues. However, the evidence shows that older models are still prone to many recalls and issues if the car is not taken care of properly. You can't just buy an Accord, beat the crap out of it, and expect to still have a well-functioning car 10 years down the line. That's just not a reality no matter what car you buy or how good the reliability reputation is. However, if you do buy an Accord and take care of it, it is going to be one of the most reliable and best cars you can buy for your money. Consumer Reports and other independent sources rate the 2021 Accord as very good, with CR giving the car a 84 out of 100, the second best score in its class. That puts it second only to the Toyota Camry. We'd put them both in that same order in our own classification as well. If you're buying new, you'll likely have a rock-solid car in a newer Accord. If you're buying used, be on the lookout for some bad apples that are spoiling the bunch. Get a car from the southern US, which will help you avoid cars with rust and corrosion issues. Also, if buying used, look for cars from model years 2012 or newer, as they seem to have less issues than the 2000 to 2011 models. With all this being said, do we recommend you still go in to buy a Honda Accord if you've made the decision to purchase? That answer is, of course, a yes. The Accord is, by and large, a great car that will do the job of family hauler, daily driver, and peppy sedan if you really want it to. It's relatively cheap to maintain, but even cars with stellar reputations are still prone to issues. A new one will give you the peace of mind of a warranty, but a certified pre-owned Accord will also be a great buy, and you'll likely still have some warranty left over. If you can swing it, stick to the newer Accords and you'll be fine. And if any of the issues I mentioned do crop up, or even new ones, you will likely still have a factory warranty or some kind of other warranty to cover you should anything happen. So go ahead and shop with confidence. I hope that this video does help you in making your buying decision a bit easier or has made you a better informed owner. If you want to follow us outside of YouTube, you can find us at Shifting Lanes on Facebook and Instagram, where we post about the new cars we review, our personal cars, and industry news and adventures. And don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you found it informative or liked it. That tells YouTube that you want to see more videos just like this. Again, my name is Gregson. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.